The following program, Norml Show Live, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate for the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate or encourage any illegal activity and advise all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws by visiting norml.org, Norml.org. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers of Norml Show Live are their own and do not necessarily reflect the philosophy and policies of Norml. Listener discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think we need to rethink and criminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws presents Norml Show Live, Marijuana Nation. Now, here's your host, Norml's Outreach Coordinator, Radical Russ Belville.
Good day, tokers and tokettes. You all got the memo from the president that you're supposed to set your clocks 12 minutes ahead, right? You got that one, right? We had a blue screen to death here in the studio, so we're starting a little bit late. We're going to come right back here to Norml News with Cannabis Carry, so stay tuned.
You're listening to Norml Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation.
And I mean right back.
Medical marijuana, industrial hemp, consumer cannabis. It's time for this week's Norml News with Cannabis Carry.
All right. You might remember the story that I brought to you last week about Elijah Dukes, the former Major Baseball League player. Well, he's in the news again. Former Major League Baseball player Elijah Dukes was pulled over early this morning in Tampa. We reported to you last year around this time after he was released by the Washington Nationals. He gave a tell-all interview saying that he was pressured into smoking marijuana by his teammates and said that marijuana use was rampant among baseball players and even reported about smoking sessions before home games. He came forward to say that he was cut from the team, he says, because he shared that information, the information about marijuana, with the team's counselor that the league had assigned to him as part of an employee assistance program. And he says that got him blackballed from Major League Baseball. The ball club says that he was released for other reasons. He did have a history of suspensions. But the now former baseball player made headlines this morning when the 27-year-old was pulled over and cited for drug possession of less than 20 ounces of marijuana, tampering with physical evidence, destroying of evidence, possession of drug paraphernalia, and 3 counts of driving on a canceled or suspended license. When the officers stopped him, they reported seeing flakes of marijuana on his shirt, and they also say during that stop they witnessed him trying to eat a small bag of marijuana. His bail was set at $4,750 this morning, and just letting you know, since he has stepped away from professional sports, he's begun a music career rapping under the name of Fly Eli.
Fly Eli. Yeah, don't do it, Dewey. Don't smoke them reefers. He was pressured, John. He was pressured. That's what they said.
Jeez.
He had to do it.
Love you, Dewey.
They forced him.
If I wasn't a married man with a good head on my shoulders, I don't know what I'd do. You gotta get back out there, Dewey. They're going crazy. All right, let me splash some water on my face. I'll be right back. Okay? Hurry up!
Get out of here, Dewey.
What are y'all doing in here?
We're smoking reefer.
They're smoking reefer,
And you
Elijah.
don't want no part of this shit.
You don't want to be a part of that.
Smoking reefer?
Yeah, of course we are. Can't you smell it?
And then getting caught in the car with crumbs all over you and trying to eat the bag. Well, that just finishes that story.
That was just stupid.
That's just stupid.
Out of here.
And a new study, I know you're dying to talk about this. We brought it up yesterday, but a new study is out that says that marijuana use among teen drivers is the highest level it's been in 30 years. The study says that 19% of drivers reported driving under the influence of marijuana, and a full 36% of teens that were surveyed said they are confident that marijuana does not affect their driving abilities. The study was done by the group Students Against Destructive Decisions, or SAD. I didn't make that up, along with Liberty Mutual Insurance Group. The study was initiated with a series of 4 focus groups held in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and San Francisco, California in October of 2010, and then followed by a survey of 2,294 teens in the 11th and 12th grades from 28 recruited high schools across the country in January of this year. The survey results also showed that 19% of teens don't believe that alcohol has a negative effect on driving. Really? But overall, the results showed that teenagers are more likely to bring up safety issues with their peers who have been drinking alcohol than they would bringing up safety issues with their friends concerning marijuana. Females are more likely to ask a friend to not drink or smoke before driving, and over 90% of the teens asked say they would willingly hand over the keys to a friend if asked when they have been drinking or smoking marijuana. The study was highlighted by USA Today, and Stephen Wallace, SADS Senior Advisor for Policy Research and Education, said he found the study disturbing about teen perceptions. He said that he's heard from young people saying that marijuana actually makes them a safer driver because they can concentrate harder and they drive slower. Wallace points out that the studies have shown that marijuana can affect memory, judgment, and perception. Now, this study comes on the heels of another study out of the UK and published in the British Medical Journal last week, suggesting that people who drive within 3 hours of using marijuana are twice as likely to get into a car accident than those that are sober. It also showed a higher risk in those stoned drivers under the age of 35. Now, of course, you can also add that to the study that was done in 2010 by Connecticut's Hartford Hospital and the University of Iowa. They did a double-blind study and found that people who drive within 30 minutes of smoking marijuana do not react much differently behind the wheel than those that did not use marijuana before driving. And even though SADS research suggests that marijuana use among teens is at a 30-year high, government surveys done through 2009 have indicated that there is a decline among teens in marijuana use.
Absolutely. Well, we have a very important public service message that we just received in here at Norml Show Live Studios that addresses this topic of stone driving.
You okay to land this thing?
No problem, man.
I think you're going a little high, man.
It's okay, man. If there's one thing I know, it's how to drive when I'm stoned. It's like you know your perspective's fucked, so you just gotta let your hands work the controls as if you're straight.
Oh, wow. Good land.
I hope everyone has learned the important lesson here, and that is if you drive stoned, you will likely wreck your spaceship. It's just not a good thing to do. And all silliness aside here, the thing that I picked out about this survey that I liked the most is when they said 90% of the teens surveyed, if they were asked to give up their keys when they're driving, if they had been smoking, they'd say sure. They got no problem with that. And second of all, if we've got a decline in teen driving deaths and teen driving statistics, well, then what's the problem? What are we so worried about? All we're finding out here is, one, there's more teens that are likely to smoke marijuana, and number two, that they know the truth about it, that it is safer than alcohol. What was that statistic? They had some number there about they were much more likely to not want to ride with a friend after he'd been drinking than to ride with a friend after he'd been smoking marijuana. Well, that just matches the science. That matches what we know. Marijuana users are less of a risk than alcohol users. But that is not to say they are not a risk. Of course, it is always best to drive as unimpaired as possible. So, no, you don't want to be firing up big bong rips, especially if we're talking about teenagers here who haven't probably had a lot of experience of smoking marijuana, haven't developed tolerances like, say, a patient might develop or someone who's more adult. You shouldn't be smoking as a teen anyway. Your brain is still developing. And hell, if you ask me, you shouldn't be driving as a teen either. I'm pretty consistent. I think age 18 ought to be the adult age for everything, and I'd put driving in that as well. I mean, the statistics of accidents that we have with teen drivers are pretty well known. But I don't want to devolve into a driving discussion here. Let's just remember, it's not good to drive impaired. It's not good to get so stoned that you can't drive. Just don't do it.
Hey, Russ, what do you think about a break with our Hitman chess piece?
Let's just switch over to the John Cam. You can show that off, and we'll be right back after this short break.
It's 20 after the hour, and we have to take a short break, if you know what I mean. Please support these sponsors who support Norml Show Live.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would send you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
I'm a doctor.
I'm a lawyer.
I'm a journalist.
I'm a student.
I'm a teacher.
I'm a representative.
I have cancer.
The outdated laws of prohibition are more dangerous than the plant itself.
I lost my scholarship.
I was fired.
20 million arrests since 1965. This is getting ridiculous.
Our prisons are overcrowded with non-violent offenders.
We have the opportunity to change.
This is costing our country billions of dollars.
Making my family and I fight in a courtroom is difficult enough when I'm already fighting through chemotherapy.
There's no reason to be scared by tradition anymore.
We can stop this.
We can stop this.
We are the American people,
We can stop this.
and you have our support.
We're old,
Young.
Straight. Gay.
we're every race and nationality.
And we're not going to give up.
You can tax it.
You can regulate it.
Apply age restrictions.
You can create millions of new jobs. We can save our economy.
President Obama?
It's time for legalization.
Legalization.
Yes.
We
Can.
Catch Norml News with Cannabis Carey every weekday on Norml Show Live at 7 p.m. Eastern, here on the Norml Network.
Okay, let's see. Toke as needed. Caution, objects may appear.
Legalize it. Don't criticize.
This is Peter Tosh for Norml, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Did you know that more than 400,000 Americans were arrested last year for the possession of marijuana? People are being sentenced to up to 40 years for even standing beside a joint. Well, I think it is definitely time for you to help doing something towards this. To find out what you can do, just write Norml, N-O-R-M-L.
1600 K Street Northwest, Washington, D.C. 2006. That's 1600 K Street Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20006.
Help Norml to help protect your rights.
It's time for your daily Toker Tunes, the best in 420 friendly music from all genres that uplifts, entertains, and informs the public. Today we bring you tunes for Groovin' Thursday. Our salute to all the dopest beats and killer rhymes that we find in the best of rap, hip-hop, soul, R&B, and funk. If you'd like to submit your song to be played on Norml Show Live, send it to us at stash@norml.org. Now here's some more great independent marijuana music for today's Daily Toker Tune.
All right, for our Daily Toker Tunes on Thursdays, we turn things over to Ganja John, who is now taken over the Thursday duties. And before we get to that, though, I'm excited because tonight we get, dare I say, a new episode of the Ganja John Show?
A new episode of the Ganja John Show is in the can.
Yay!
Yes.
The people have spoken and they have demanded.
Yeah, I woke up at the crack of noon this morning and recorded one for you guys, and went ahead and threw that together. But
right on.
Yeah, that'll be coming up tonight live, and you can catch it on the iTunes feed probably right at the end of the second hour of Norml Show Live.
Yeah, we tweeted out all of the iTunes locations. The Irie Island Hour one works now as well, so you can subscribe to all of our Rolla J productions here through iTunes. So that's very, very cool. Yeah. All right, so Groovin' Thursday, we got some hip-hop.
Groovin' Thursday, yeah. You know, a lot of electronic musicians have been getting with hip-hop musicians, and even like Skrillex got with the members of The Doors. Like, they've been doing these kind of mashups. So Cypress Hill and Rusko have done a new track together that they've been performing live, and the new video came out just yesterday. You can check it out on YouTube. But this tune is called Roll It, Light It. I think you guys are going to dig it.
We came here to get you high. 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 Roll it, roll it, roll it, light it. Pack your balls like your bronze, light it. Pack your balls like your bronze, light it. Pack your balls like your bronze, light it. Pack your poles like your blunt. Pack your poles like your blunt. Pack your poles like your blunt. Wanna hit it that fat sack? Better come with the fat stack, or you might get backpacked. Blow smoke in your face when I'm in the place. Feel the bass girl shaking that ass, Jack. Got the club jumping on, what you pumping on? While I pump the song, get a crew, girls get on the floor when we come in the door. Let me show you how we do. Yeah, we go for the gusto. Made it call the presto. Make it feel in that rush show. Hit that split and blaze that blunt. Don't look at me funny, I'll say what I want. Don't ask for the cash back, cause it's won't make a flashback. Your rep, I'll trash that. Gonna bring up a hash clan. Watch these scary bitches call hazmat. Pack your poles like your blunt. 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 Whenever we roll, whenever we load the bowl, people crowd around, we take control. It's impossible with the weed, I hope for you not to get down. When you here in the first place, you came to the worst place. I'm high on the surface. You don't want that grease, but the scene don't state your purpose. We don't want no fat butt. You wanna see us get fed up. We don't fall for the setup, dead up. Look at you now, you about to go head up. My flow got sped up, you hoes got wet up. Good luck trying to get up, met up. Take a hit and do this shit. Don't drink from the red cup. We still on the come up, and we come with our guns up. This ain't about dumb luck. Got my hands on the pump bus, like it's all like a dumb truck. Hit a car, get loud when you bust into the stage, shut them down, get them pumped up. In the smoking section, in both directions, everybody about to get fucked up. What I got in my side, gonna pull your head back so you better not touch. When I say that shit, no, I mean that shit. Other my drinking, but not us. It goes back your bowls, like your blunts. Let's get high, get fucked up. Lost your stash, got your ass, go and buy another girl. Pack your poles like your blunts. 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 Slide it.
As High Times Senior Cultivation Editor, I'm often called into the field and asked to sample or even identify exotic strains of marijuana in their natural habitat. Now, for the first time, I've compiled more than 120 of my favorite strains into this single field guide designed to fit into your pocket as you travel the world in search of your favorite plant. From a friend's closet grow room to the wilds of Northern California, this single guide covers all of today's best-known strains, plus heirlooms and throwbacks, including High Times quality photos and information on each variety's genetic heritage and growing characteristics, plus my personal notes on aroma, flavor, and potency. So this is Danny Danko, author of the official High Times Field Guide to Marijuana Strains, wishing you good times and great ganja.
The official High Times Field Guide to Marijuana Strains is available at hightimes.com and finer bookstores.
We are each of us a multitude.
Wow, I'm suddenly feeling wasly fungible.
There isn't the sharp line dividing humans.
Or maybe fungibly wuzzy.
It's a very wuzzy line. It's a very wuzzy line. It's getting wuzzier all the time.
Sometimes it's hard to tell.
We find animals doing things that we, in our arrogance, used to think.
Norml Show Live reminds you to never smoke and drive impaired. Hang out for a while and share.
Cause the day was hard and your work was long and you need a break from all that's wrong. You better look at the clock cause it's 4:19. Time to reach in that pocket for your bag of green and smoke that weed. Smoke that weed. Smoke that weed. Smoke that weed.
I'm Sub Cool from Team Green Avenger. At TGAgenetics.com, we are working on the leading edge of medical strains. Our strains are rigorously tested for THC, CBD, THCV, and other critical cannabinoids. Know your grow. Check out our genetic diversity at TGAgenetics.com. the home of Jelly Bean, Jack the Ripper, Vortex, and other award-winning cannabis strains.
One of the most disturbing elements of the war on marijuana is how it's made police the enemy of otherwise law-abiding cannabis consumers. Fortunately, one group of police officers knows firsthand the futility of the drug war and reaches out to the community and to current law enforcement to end our war on drugs through legalization. It's time now to speak to one such officer in our continuing look at law enforcement against prohibition.
All right, welcome back, everyone. On the second and the fourth Thursdays of the month, we always visit with someone from Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. It's a fantastic organization made up of former law enforcers and maybe even a few current ones, either police or prosecutors or people who've worked in prisons as guards, etc., probation and parole officers and so forth, who have been there on the front lines of the drug war, and they've seen the people whose lives have been ruined by it. And they have now banded together to spread this message that cops say legalize drugs. It's time for us to end the prohibitionary way of looking at the problems that might be associated with drugs, regulate the sale and traffic. And we love speaking with these guests. And joining us today is someone who's got a perspective I really want to touch on here. Patrick Heinz, who's a retired counselor and corrections officer from Massachusetts. And Patrick, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad to have you here because my father became a social worker after being a drug and alcohol addict. He went back to school, got his social work degree, and became a counselor. And one of the jobs he had to do, it was an internship or a college course or something that he had to do with counseling out at the prison. This is the Idaho State Penitentiary where I was born. And the stories he would come back and tell, I mean, obviously with, keeping people's privacy and all, but of people's lives who'd been ruined over the smallest of drug offenses and the recidivism and kind of the institutionalization of people over drugs and how sad it was. And I was wondering if you could just touch on that in your experience and give us some of your perspective on that subject.
Sure. I worked in corrections for 20 years. And one of the striking things about it is the longer you're in it, the more familiar the population becomes to you. Mm-hmm. And then you begin to notice that this intergenerational component to the incarcerated population. We had grandfathers, sons, and grandchildren, all of the same family in the prison at the same time. So it kind of becomes this family business. And people go to prison, and they're put in this environment where, it's a predatory environment, and law enforcement and authority is the enemy, and people become indoctrinated into this antisocial view of the world. Mm-hmm. And it's just spread from generation to generation. The thing also real disturbing about the revolving door nature of the problem with the substance abuser, the gangbanger, the drug dealer, is how it's so ingrained as a cultural form. The culture of thuggery, mm-hmm. I'd have to call it, mm-hmm. Becomes readily apparent. And there's all kinds of, you speak of social work, studies recently about the spiraling nature of it, where people who are from disorganized environments grow up to lead disorganized lives, and things that disorganize a life are dropping out of high school, early unplanned pregnancy, single mothers, the baby mama drama kind of culture, mm-hmm. where you have on visiting day we'd have two women show up with two babies, and they both want to visit the same guy, and it's Jerry Springer. Yeah. So it's just insane. It just doesn't help at all.
Well,
and a person can start this just by if he goes and he buys 10 little baggies of marijuana for himself because they're sold in little baggies and he gets caught with 10 little baggies, well, then he's got to do a 2-year mandatory minimum for distribution.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's near a school, which is hard not to be within 1,000 feet of a school in an inner city,
sure,
it's an extra year. So you go into jail, and for 3 years, it's like crime college.
Well put, well put. You know, and so many of these young people already without much of a chance as far as where their background is, you know, as far as socioeconomically or educationally, and then the one opportunity or avenue they have for advancement is, you know, selling the dime bag on the street. Largely, you know, in a lot of cases, to people driving into that neighborhood from, you know, suburbs where they won't get busted. So it's a sick cycle. And what do you suggest we do to break it?
Well, the only way to break it is to end the prohibition policy, because prohibition policy has been tried for 40 years. And I'm sure other people from LEAP have mentioned that the government's own estimate 40 years ago, when they started the war on drugs in 1970, I think it was, they estimated that 1.3% of the population is addicted to illicit substances, which is not a big number at all. To put it in perspective, 33% of adults and 17% of children are clinically obese, 41% of the population. So when you're talking about 1.3% of the population, it's not really a crisis proportion.
Sure.
What makes it a crisis is that, for instance, this is true of all drugs, but the statistic I have that comes to mind is heroin. Heroin, from production to sale on the street, the price is increased by a factor of 60. And to put that in perspective, if you were buying $4 a gallon gasoline, you'd have to pay $240 for a gallon of gasoline.
Let's see.
So the 1.3% of the population who are going to abuse drugs no matter what, and you can call it a standard deviation of a social norm, which means that, for instance, a set and knowable percentage of the population is always going to be left-handed.
Right.
And it's really not much you can do about it. It's a standard deviation of a norm. And a certain percentage of the population is going to be addicted personality disorder, and they're going to abuse illicit substances. So you can't legislate it away. After 40 years of incarceration and billions of dollars spent on the war on drugs, the government's own estimate is still that 1.3% of the population abuses substances addictively. Mm-hmm. That doesn't take into account the 48% of Americans who say they've smoked marijuana.
Right.
So what kind of civilization designates half their population criminal?
Only ours, to my knowledge.
It doesn't seem like a government that is serving its population, its citizens.
Not very well
serving them
indeed.
by designating half of them criminals.
Yes, we're speaking with Patrick Hines, who's a retired counselor and corrections officer, who's also a speaker for Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. Check out the website at leap.cc. And as far as replacing the prohibition, I'm glad you brought up the marijuana smokers as well, because, of course, with Norml, that's our prime focus. But I, of course, don't believe that anybody should be doing time for anything they do to themselves. But when it comes to the discussion, there seems to be a discussion that's one side, the legalized marijuana side, and the other side, the legalized drug side. And sometimes the compromise that I hear is to have more treatment, less incarceration. Treatment, not incarceration. Drug courts and the such. And while that, we could debate whether that's valid for cocaine or methamphetamine or heroin, but I would think with marijuana smokers, in large part, the only problem they have with marijuana is getting busted for it. So what's your opinion on that as far as treatment, not incarceration mantras that we hear from some people, and the notion of drug courts, and maybe just the difference between hard and soft drugs?
Well, I agree totally. I think the really for the vast majority of marijuana smokers, the greatest risk they face is incarceration. Now, in 1971, Richard Nixon formed a commission to come up with a recommendation for marijuana. The commission's recommendation was, even after they were told what their recommendation was going to be, they were warned that it wasn't going to be politically popular. And I got to give them credit for their integrity. They issued their recommendation, and they said that marijuana, in their estimation, did not pose a threat to people using it, and it did not pose a threat to the security of the United States.
Right.
That it was not an issue. And it's just, I don't see the difference between that and legalized alcohol. I mean, a person can go home after work and he can have a beer, or he can have two, or he can even have three, and he will be affected by it. He may not be, if he has 3 beers in a couple hours, he won't be impaired, but he'll certainly be affected by it, and that's his choice. It's your right to go buy your beer. Why marijuana is different, I don't understand it. But as far as legalizing it, there's examples all over the world. For example, in Portugal, they decriminalized drugs in 2001. And by their statistics, drug use by 13 and 19-year-olds is down by 22 to 25%.
Wow.
Since they legalized it. Their heroin overdose deaths are down by 52%, and HIV infections reported by drug users are down by 71%. So it's like the problem with people who want to have the legalization argument is that addiction and regulation are two different things. The problem with prohibition is, since if the government refuses to take responsibility for the control and regulation of drugs that are used in the society, what they do is they hand that power over to the criminal elements, and they regulate and control the distribution of drugs. Now, the problem with that is it creates this horrible environment of violence. I'll give you an example. In Mexico, since they started their war on drugs against the cartels, it's been about 5 years. Over 50,000 Mexican citizens have been killed by the drug cartels. It took 10 years of Vietnam to kill 58,000 Americans. So we're talking about full-scale war. And the reason they can do this is because they have so much money. The drug policy in America guarantees enormous sums of money to the criminal underworld. The United Nations has estimated that the illegal drug economy, world economy, is $500 billion a year. To put that in perspective, the United States Pentagon budget for 2013 is just over $500 billion a year. So the drug cartels and the criminal underworld are as well financed as
the Pentagon,
the largest military on the planet.
Wow.
The problem with this is now the cartels have so much money, they're building submarines, their own submarines, to transport drugs. They're taking diesel tractors, trailer trucks, and turning them into armored vehicles. They're digging tunnels, 3/4 of a mile long, with ventilation, railroad tracks, electricity. They have all the money in the world.
That's right. You cannot eliminate the laws of supply and demand, no matter how hard you try to legislate them. Patrick, we're running against the end of the clock here. I wanted to give you a chance to let folks know if you'll be speaking anywhere where they can come see you anytime soon.
Well, in Massachusetts, I'm from Massachusetts, there's a hearing. A bill has been sent to committee in Massachusetts to tax and regulate marijuana. It doesn't probably have much of a chance of passing, but March 6th, the committee is having open hearings, so I'll be going there. And my view is that if government refuses to regulate and control drugs the way, including marijuana, the way it regulates and controls alcohol, that it's a dereliction of duty. It's funding the underworld. The problem with that is Mexico is becoming destabilized because these drug lords are becoming so powerful. If we're not careful, we're going to have Afghanistan on our nearest southern border.
It's happening right in front of our eyes, and we've got to stop it.
Yep.
Thank you, Patrick, for joining us here on Norml Show Live. We'll have you back again. Thanks.
Okay, thanks very much. Keep up the good work.
You're listening to Norml Show Live, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What's up, guys? I'm Rory from Revolution, chilling at the Spring Fest, San Bernardino, California. Just chilling at the Norml Live. Want to say what's up and keep it green.
Starfish Designs, makers of the original Gandalf.
I'm Radical Russ, and when I want to relax, I always have my 17-inch long original Gandalf from Starfish Designs nearby. The hand-blown borosilicate glass is strong and easy to clean, and the design is sleek and sophisticated. Starfish Designs are available from Bend, Oregon at a glass retailer near you. For locations, call 541-788-GLASS. That's 541-788-4527.
Open up. It's the police. Oh, man. I gotta get rid of my grass.
He's flushing his pot down the toilet unnecessarily.
Georgia. Hi, this is Willie Nelson, and I need your help. Alcohol prohibition didn't work in the 20s, and marijuana prohibition isn't working today. It's time we stop arresting law-abiding citizens because they prefer marijuana over alcohol. Nearly 2,000 Americans are arrested every day on marijuana charges. We're unfairly destroying the lives and careers of hundreds of thousands of people each year simply because they smoke marijuana. These are not criminals. They're average citizens like you, good neighbors who work hard, raise families, pay taxes, and contribute to their communities. We need your help to end marijuana prohibition once and for all. It's the fair thing to do.
For more information, contact Norml, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Call toll-free 888-67-NORML or visit their website at norml.org.
Norml, unlike any other marijuana or drug reform organization, is built from the ground up by grassroots activists. We are the marijuana smokers' lobby, and we aren't just anti-prohibition, we're pro-marijuana. Every week, we take some time to talk to the citizens of local Norml chapters across the country and around the world, as well as others who are working to make a difference in the fight to end adult marijuana prohibition. In this segment, we call Grassroots Activism.
All right, welcome back, everyone. 49 after the hour, and we're joined, hopefully, on the telephone by Sam Chapman from Students for. I keep saying from. I don't know what it is. I've been having problems with prepositions lately. Students from Sensible Drug Policy.
You'll get it. It's all
what
good.
The hell is wrong with me? I'm falling apart, people. We'll talk about that in hour two. But anyway, joining us on the phone from Students for Sensible Drug Policy is Sam Chapman. How you doing, Sam?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Go Ducks. Good to have you here. We've got you here because there's a big a summit, I guess, of folks involved with the Oregon fight to legalize marijuana, and I wanted to give you a chance to tell people about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for having me on. So this Saturday at the Lewis and Clark Law School, the Students for Sensible Drug Policy chapters here in Oregon have decided to host a 2012 Cannabis Law Reform Conference, where we will be highlighting three of the initiatives, or two of the initiatives which have ballot titles, and then another initiative that is looking to get their ballot title. And pretty much we're just going to be highlighting what each initiative is seeking to do as far as passing cannabis reform laws here in Oregon, and the idea is to kind of present to the public, in a forum style, what's going on with the cannabis movement here in Oregon. And the idea is for, after all of the initiatives have talked about what it is that they're trying to do, all of our chapters will gather together and decide which one initiative we want to endorse to move forward.
All right, so let's run down the participants here. What are the initiatives you're discussing, and who are coming to represent them?
Absolutely. So we're going to have Paul Stanford with the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, and we are also going to have Adam Smith with Citizens for Sensible Law Enforcement, which is the I-24 initiative. And I believe Paul was I-9. Is that correct? Octa is I-9.
I'm not sure what the number is on it.
I think, yeah. Okay. So, and then we have Sensible Oregon, who will be represented by Oregon Norml's Madeline Martinez.
All right. So what do we, as far as the proposals, Octa, I know something about, the second one, and the Sensible Oregon. Can you compare? Do you already know what they are proposing as far as these initiatives go?
Certainly. I mean, in kind of a general sense, Octa is the initiative that would kind of aims to do a bunch of things. It includes tax and regulation and hemp and full legalization. The
personal home grow and such.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the all-encompassing initiative that Paul's been working on for quite some time now. And the other one, Citizens for Sensible Law Enforcement, is a constitutional amendment. It's very short, but because it's a constitutional amendment, you do have to get a lot more signatures for it. And that would essentially it would amend the Oregon's constitution to allow anyone over the age of 21 to possess and grow their own marijuana as long as it doesn't pose a danger to the public. And that's not exact quotes, but in a general sense.
Okay.
That is what that initiative would be doing. And then Sensible Oregon is very similar to Citizens for Sensible Law Enforcement, except it's just not a constitutional amendment. So those are the three that we'll be highlighting. And basically, we're going to be asking questions. Where are they at on their signature gathering? What are their opinions on why they think that if we were to endorse one, why should it be them? Essentially, gotcha. And it's not that we want to put down any kind of other initiatives. Our approach from Students for Sensible Drug Policy is pretty pragmatic in that a lot of us are working on a bunch of these different initiatives, but we recognize that in order to really make the best use of our efforts and our time, we really want to band together and get behind one.
All right.
And we want to set the example for other states. We recently just found out that one of our chapters at USC is hosting a debate on Sunday between the 5 initiatives that California has. I'm sure there might even be more.
Yeah.
But so it's catching on. So we're pretty excited to be hosting an event that can show the public that, look, this isn't about personal infighting or mine's better than yours. This is kind of building coalitions here, and we really just want to get something passed here in Oregon.
Yeah, 2012 is going to be a monumental year, I think, for getting these things passed, and of course, it is, I think, very mature and sensible to, speaking of sensible, to recognize that dividing the volunteer base, the supporters, the money that would be coming in, the public attention, dividing that amongst multiple initiatives just seems very counterproductive. So I'm glad to see the SSDP doing this, and also from a position of an interesting position of leverage, because as students, you guys have the time and the energy to be doing that door-to-door and the signature gathering and all of the work that takes to put together a successful grassroots campaign. So I applaud you guys for doing that. Let's give folks the raw data. What's the date and the time, and can they get information of this on the internet?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's going to be at the Lewis and Clark Law School. And let me pull up the exact room here. Let's see. It's going to be this Saturday at Lewis and Clark Law School from 1 to 5 p.m. The address is 10015 Southwest Terwilliger Boulevard, and it's going to be the McCarty Complex. And we actually have 2 classrooms, one of which is going to be the lecture hall, which is actually a courtroom, if I understand it. It's going to be a pretty interesting setting there. And then we're going to have an overflow room where people will be able to watch the forum live from a separate room, simply because we expect a very high amount of people to show up for this. Really,
now, are you taping this for YouTube?
Yes, we will have people recording it, and we will also, hopefully, we're going to have someone live stream it as well, so people who can't attend the conference will be able to watch live from their home.
Yeah, I was going over this with Coleco, and I wanted to offer us up with the Norml network to live stream this, but if you've got someone covering it, that's fine as well. But if you need me, let me know. We'll be glad to come out there and stream.
Absolutely. That sounds perfect, actually, because I don't think we have someone for that. So thanks.
Okay. We've got another question, live question coming in from our chat room that wants to know, will SSDP support all the initiatives while just working on one? Or is this one of those all or nothing, like once this meeting's over, SSDP only supports this one and only works on this one?
No, that's an excellent question. I'm really glad that was asked. No, we will continue to support all initiatives. This is not in any way, well, this is the only one we're going to work on. This is it's going to give us a focus. And the idea is, in the past, and we've done it this way too, where we've carried 3 initiatives. We get people to sign all of them, and that's great. And there are a lot of people out there that are willing to do that. But it really comes down to public perception. And it's unfortunate that it has to be this way, but in my opinion, the people that we need to sway in this election are not necessarily people that have a direct stake in marijuana legalization. They sit on the fence, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of these people, I think, can be agitated in one way or the other. And like I said, it's unfortunate that that's the case, but we really just want to be able to push put all of our efforts behind one initiative and get something passed. That is the number one goal for SSDP as an organization. And we will continue to, and if other initiatives reach out to us and they're like, hey, we need some help, our door's always open. We will never shut out any organization or effort that is trying to reform unjust marijuana laws or drug policy laws in general in Oregon.
All right. That sounds great, Sam. We appreciate what you're doing there with SSDP Ducks and all of the other chapters. How many chapters in Oregon now?
Let's see. We got the University of Oregon. We have Coleco working on one at Western. We have Portland State University, Lewis and Clark College, Lewis and Clark Law School, and Reed College.
Oh, Reed College has got to be off the hook for a SSDP chapter. Okay.
Yeah.
Sam, thanks so much, and we'll see you again sometime soon. Maybe even this Saturday. We'll just we'll get it all worked off the air. Coleco wanted to say good day. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you again sometime.
That sounds good. You can check out OregonSSDP.org for more information about the conference. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right.
Show live. The voice of the Marijuana Nation.
All right, folks, stick around for hour 2. We're going to talk about me being red Russ yesterday and other stuff with John and Coleco and Carrie. And for those of you listening, thanks for joining us. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.